Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Roundtable. I'm your host, Amir. I'm joined today by the entire crew, and we're excited because we have a returning guest today.
I'm
We got
crew
Big O
now?
from the Big O Radio Show. Thanks for joining us.
I'm in the crew now. Is that what's going on? I'm in the crew now.
Can
Yes,
you? Can
honorary
you?
member.
If you want to join the crew, you can join us weekly. We wouldn't mind it.
I've showed up again here, so I'm part of the crew. So I appreciate. Thank you for the
Let's
welcome.
let's go.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you, guys.
problem. Thanks again for joining. So, Big O, the last time you were on the show was right after the play-in game versus the 76ers. We all know what happened after that, so don't need to talk about that. But
Wait,
for
no.
yeah,
Did
hop
you
in. Go
play?
ahead.
Did you play the episode? Because everything that happened is exactly what I said would happen, right? I think, right? It's pretty much, kind of exactly what happened. Okay, all right.
Except for one part, which we can get into. But yes, you have been definitely correct. But either way, there has not been much new news going on in the past few weeks or so. But the biggest thing that we are waiting on are two extensions. One is internal with Jimmy Butler, obviously. The other is external with Donovan Mitchell. I think these two events are going to dictate the direction that the Miami Heat can go this offseason. I already know how you feel about the whole Jimmy Butler extension piece, so I don't need to ask you that. But I do want to ask you what your prediction will be in terms of the whole extension situation in general. Do
Oh,
you think
Riley already told you. I mean, he basically said, we don't need to address his contract this year. We're going to address it next year. Plus, we need availability. Jimmy Butler can no longer give you availability. He can no longer guarantee you availability during the regular season. And he knows it, and they know it. And he can't put his body through the wear and tear of 70 games. Forget 75, forget, 65. He can't even put his body through that. He has to pace himself. And so now he has to go look at other places now that are willing to give him the money and deal with what they have to deal with. The Heat can no longer deal with that because you're now playing to be a play-in team because he no longer tries in the regular season. And because you have no other stars on the team that can really carry the offensive load when he's gone, then you can't really get to where you need to go. And that's why I've been saying for over a year now, you got to get off the gravy train. I did the same thing with the Dolphins 3 years ago when X had 10 interceptions. I said, now trade him right here this offseason. And they hung on, and then you end up releasing him. They're lucky that this whole Philadelphia mess is extended to another year. And Philly now is sitting there going, okay, no, we need him. Desperately, we need him. And so maybe this is your out. This is your way to get draft capital. I don't think the Donovan Mitchell thing is going to happen, by the way, because I think he's going to end up staying there, unfortunately. But, I just think that this is a situation that you have to, if you're the Heat, you must take advantage now because this is what's going to set you up for the future. If you can do this from here on out, what you've been stuck is in the same rut that you have a nice group of role players, but you have no other star next to Jimmy that can really lift the team. And that's a problem right now for this team. And then your one star isn't available all season long. That can't happen, man. It just can't happen. Yeah.
that's a
So
good point? Yeah.
that extension, there's no shot it happens now with Pat Riley. No shot it happens. So they will hopefully quietly work behind the scenes and try to get this thing done. What I don't think it will happen is all the ugliness and everything that's happened with Jimmy in the past. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think they'll find a way to both be professional about this and make the move that's good for everybody, man. It's good for Jimmy. It's good for the future of the Heat. Get 3, 4 first rounders, maybe another player, whatever. Man, you need to start building that back up again. And then, I really like these two young kids, Jovic and Jaquez, man. And I think Jaquez has got that it factor to him. So I just think, I'd rather go young from here on out. You got the best coach in the league. And then maybe with this draft capital, you can try to attract a star that will be available to you for 75 games a season.
So then, Big O, why do you think that the Heat culture has slipped in terms of, you have Jimmy that's pretty much trolling the whole regular season. And I just think, yes, we've seen the success with the undrafted players, but why do you think they're leaning so heavy on undrafted players when we know what it takes to win, and that's stars and high-level role players. So why do you think that Pat Riley has allowed the culture to slip over the past few years?
Because they've made a lot of desperate moves and they've gotten rid of a lot of picks and they have no draft capital. And that's kind of what I was just talking about. You need to go get the draft capital. Luckily, my man, they know how to actually unearth talent from nowhere. It's kind of like mining Jasmine or Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that. You start mining it from nowhere. So that's the beauty for the Heat is that they know how to make at least create players that are actually getting contracts everywhere else now, because every time they're players that they find from nowhere, they become, attractive free agents. So the good thing is that they've been smart enough to be able to unearth talent to make up for the lack of picks that they have. And then the other thing that they've done well lately is they're actually hitting on some of these draft picks too over the last couple of years, which has actually been really, really positive. But the bottom line, they haven't had the ammo to go get a real star, and that's why they end up becoming the bridesmaid and never the bride as of the last 10 years, because you've done a lot of stupid stuff, from the white side and all that other crap, and from, Shabazz Napier and all that other crap all the way through this year, all the way to Deadman and everything that you've done in
Kyle
between.
Lowry.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry was, oh my God, that was a cancer of a freaking move. I ripped the hell out of them for making that move, from the get-go. I thought that move was just absolutely stupid from the get-go. That's a move that you had to make 4 years ago before you made the move. It's like watching Pacquiao and Mayweather 7 years after the fight is supposed to happen. Like, get out of here, dude. And so all these kind of stupid ass moves that they've made in the last 10 years, because they desperately are trying to keep up. And then now they put themselves in a position that every time they want to get a star, they have to hope that the star like finagles his way here, like Jimmy did, because they cannot outbid somebody anymore. And that's why you've got to make this Jimmy move so you can start to outbid somebody for the next star. And, you got the blueprint. That's how you won in 06. You would have won before, but there was a guy named Michael Jordan in the way and all that. I was a beat guy in those days. And, the Pacers, the Knicks, the Heat, the Utah Jazz, and the Cleveland Cavs. I mean, all those teams could have won a title, but Michael stopped them at that time. But Miami was loaded with stars. They got the star with Shaq and Wade. They got the big three. That's how they've had the chemistry to have real-time success. What's happened the last 5 years has been great and also has been a curse, because Spo creates wine out of water and we take it for granted. And that front office has taken it for granted that guy gets a stone and turns it into a diamond. And so because you have the best coach on the planet, that's made this situation that's actually pretty mediocre look a lot better than what it is. And they have overachieved year after year because they got Eric freaking Spoelstra. And so a lot of shortcomings, but their scouting department has helped them unearth talent. The coach has been absolute gold. And this run with Jimmy has been magical because you've had those moments where, you ended up in the bubble, and the Heat culture is kind of better than most cultures to be in that kind of a situation. So they shined. Unfortunately, the two injuries, they might have won it that year, actually, if Bam and Dragon were healthy, because the chemistry could not be fought that year, and that was pretty impressive. And then you look at what you've done with the Butler stretch. I mean, you've milked this as much as you can. Last year, you avoided Giannis, and you avoided Embiid. Also was kind of injured. You got breaks. Everything has gone your way in the last 4 or 5 years. Plus, you have the best coach. That's why you've kind of overachieved and you've been better. Because I'll tell you this, I'll put 29 other franchises in the same position the last 5 years, and there's no effing way they get the same results. Not even close. They get the same results that, Spo has gotten. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's beautiful to have that success, but it's also kind of deceiving too, because there's a lot of shit that they've had to overcome along the way.
Trent, you want to go? You good?
All right. Big O, I mean, I really can't say anything on that because you're spitting straight facts. A lot of this is very true. I had a question for you, but you actually said something that sparked up a different question. So I want to run this by you, and then I'll ask you the other one as a second part. But you mentioned earlier that Donovan Mitchell is not going to come here. That he's going to re-sign. Now, here's what I want to know. They just fired JB Bickerstaff, and there's no coach that I feel moves the needle to make Donovan stay. What makes you think Donovan's going to re-sign with Cleveland?
How do you know Donovan doesn't have the idea of who he wants as coach?
Udonis Haslem called Cap, so I'm going to roll with Haslem.
I'm not going with anything Haslam says from here on out. He now becomes a company guy, my brother. Okay, like one thing I'm not. Even when I was with a company, I was never a company guy. Never been a company guy. I say it like it is. Udonis is now part of the company after he made other comment in the other podcast that was off company line, and then Pat Riley called him out. Now he's back in line like the rest of them. So anything coming from the organization is going to be organizational talk, bro. That's I'm going to look at it that way. But
Okay.
Donovan looks happy there. He looks satisfied there. So I don't know yet. Look, we have this whole thing like we think everybody wants to come here, and it really doesn't happen that much. It's all been Dwayne Wade. That's kind of been Dwayne Wade is the one that had the relationships for the big three. Dwayne Wade's the guy that knew Butler. Outside of that, lately, Riley hasn't brought a whale in since Shaq. You want to spit facts? He hasn't brought in a star since Shaq. Everything else has been Butler related. I mean, Wade related overall. Wade's part of the Utah Jazz now. He's not helping you recruit. So I'm not exactly sure. And Riley's towards the end of his run. Donovan, is he sure he's going to hang around? You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't look at this situation as rosy as other people think it is, because the reality is it hasn't been rosy. People aren't flocking here anymore. And the only time you've gotten people to come has been all Wade related. And it's been 20 years, nearly 20 years, 06. Oh, no, I mean, he came in 05. So, yeah, basically almost 20 years now since he last brought in his own whale. It's, this situation is not as sexy as some people make it out to be. And then here's the other thing. If you don't make the Jimmy trade, you have no shot at Donovan Mitchell. And I'll take anybody's money. Anybody. Bring it on. Let's go. You got money? I'm live at Hialeah Park. I'm live at Acura Pembroke Pines. Bring your money, and I'll take your money all you want, because they have no capital. So at least the Jimmy Butler trade could give them the capital to sway if Donovan wants to leave. And that's the part that none of us know. Hey, bro, wasn't JJ Redick going to be the head coach of the Lakers? I mean, that's what everybody reported, right? You know what I mean? It's just, so I'm going to go by what I see right now, and I see enough dysfunction to say I'm leaving Cleveland at the moment. And he's got a couple of young guys around him. Not a bad team, dude. Are they going to keep the Garland kid? Because that's an issue. If you want. Isn't he a free agent? Am I right here? Is he available? Do you guys know?
I don't think he's a free agent. Maybe next year. Maybe double check.
Yeah, last year. I believe he's in the last year of this contract.
Okay. So, something, if you tell me things like that start to develop, their ownership will spend. That money's never been an issue for those people. So, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm saying what I'm saying about Donovan Mitchell for two factors. One, he declined contract extensions from Cleveland 3 different times already. Secondly, dude's got a nice relationship with Bam. Then you play for Spo. And let's be honest, Big O, I'm going to give you two options, Cleveland or Miami. I'm taking
Miami every day of the week. I've been to Cleveland a bunch of times.
Yeah, so I mean, I believe with all those factors, I mean, if the guy was really that happy, he would not have declined 3 different extensions.
Well, hold on a second. But maybe you also do this so you say, wait a minute, let me wait till everything is done to see how this whole landscape works out and see if I like it here before I took a job once in San Francisco for a nationally syndicated program. They offered me a 2-year contract first and foremost with an option.
KNBR?
No, it was across from KNBR. It was called Deportes Byline Americas, which was opposite of Sports Byline USA, Bar. And so his company wanted to branch out to Spanish, and I was doing a sports talk show in Spanish here, so he hired me to do it national there. But he offered me a 2-year deal with an option for a third. But I left my wife here, and I said, let me take the job for a year and find out if I like it. And then, because I then said, no, I want a 1-year contract with an option that I can pick up for the second year. And they were cool with it because I said, I don't know if I'm going to like it here or not. Right. And so I went, and by the way, we went 6 months in, it went under chapter 11. So, and he offered me a job on the English side, but I said, no, dude, I'm leaving. I'm coming back to Miami. And I went to, wins in QAM, and the rest is history. And, I've been fine ever since. But my point is, I had to wait. I waited to see what was going on because before I signed a long-term deal, my wife would have to move, leave her job. I had a lot of decisions. So maybe, just maybe, Donovan also wanted to say, hey, let's wait to sign an extension. There's no hurry. You're going to give me the money anyway. I got all the leverage. So let me wait till everything's played out and see how the season, how I like my teammates and all that. And now we'll see what happens. So again, man, I got to wait and see what happens. And just like you think that, I just gave you reality. Reality is nobody comes here, dude. Nobody comes here.
That's so true.
No
one's
point.
been here. No one's been here. It's so true.
That's true.
Nobody comes here if it's not Wade related.
That's true.
So until you do it, I'm not believing it.
I think Bam's taking that next step, though, because look at last year with Damian Lillard. He wanted to come here, just we couldn't get it done. I think people are gravitating towards Bam.
I disagree with you all. Dude, Damian Lillard, I'm sorry. Can I say bad words here?
Yes, sir.
Damian Lillard is a pussy.
Yep.
yes.
Pussy. Okay, listen, in business, when you drive it like James Harden or Shaq saying, I got to get out of Mickey Mouse Town, I'm going to L.A. If you're Anthony Davis, you wear a Mickey Mouse shirt and you tell, hey, this organization is Mickey Mouse, I'm headed to L.A. When you want to move in the NBA, this isn't the NFL or anything. No. In the NBA, stars control. And that Damian Lillard, here's where you're so wrong, dude. Damian Lillard could have easily told the guy in Portland, hey, listen, buddy, you're trading me to Miami, and you're trading me to Miami this offseason. And if you don't, I'm going to give you hell here and back. But he was such a wuss that he wants to be a nice guy. And he could have called Milwaukee. Hey, my agent, I don't know who it is. Call Milwaukee and tell him, hey, listen, those antlers, stick them in your ass. I'll never play. Okay? If you play hardball, if you're the dick, they can't do anything, bro. The money is guaranteed. You're loved in Portland. Now you need to act like you're the one that's being mistreated, and you'll turn those fans on that GM, which you could have had it like that in a second. Yep. That idiot should have made the trade because he could have gotten stuff from Miami in the end. So in the end, Damian Lillard is the biggest wuss I have ever seen him. He might be clutch to take a little 3-point shot in the game, but when it comes to the game of life and business, he showed me no balls whatsoever in a sport that they drive everything, dude. They go wherever the hell they want. Let me tell you something. When you want one of the things that I can't stand about LeBron and Bosh is because this another thing that Riley got suckered in. So Wade wants to bring them, right? So these idiots said, no, you got to trade me for my bird rights. They could have signed straight up for free agents, and they forced Riley to trade first rounders, which was, in the end, if you're LeBron and Bosh, you're like, yo, dude, I definitely want to go over as free agents, even if I take a little less money, but you're going to have first rounders so you can go get me support staff. But they didn't give a shit about you getting support staff. They wanted their money, just like when Bosh went to Houston. Oh, no. Oh, you want me to come back? Oh, no, but you're going to have to give me the max. Really? Dude, we brought you here to win the titles and all, and now you're going to hold me hostage when you're going to Houston? So trust me, man, these players have all the control. That is fantasy land you're in with Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is a complete freaking wuss. He could have done whatever the hell he wanted. If he wanted to play for the Orlando Magic, he could have done that. He wanted to play for Miami, he could have put his balls on the table.
No, I'm not questioning you there. That I completely agree. I was just saying that he wanted to play with Bam. I'm not saying that he
Wanted, bro.
that what you're saying there. I agree there.
Wanted,
You were
bro.
definitely right.
If he wanted it, it would have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bro, I have no respect for that guy. I have lost all respect for Damian Lillard. All respect. Like, what a
Agreed.
wuss.
Yup, 100% agree with you there.
We lost one guy. Is he a Damian Lillard fan or something? Is he crying in the?
No. Listen, it's like what you said. Dame didn't stand on business. He didn't stand on business at all.
Yeah, he got no balls.
Couldn't do what James Harden did.
Right? No, I just gave you a list of players. I just gave you a list. I gave you your own players. Bosh. He strong-armed the Heat to come back from. Come on, they have all the leverage, all of it.
So
He could have played here last year if he wanted to, but he didn't.
Yep.
He's a liar, bro.
Wuss. No, you said it right. Wuss. I can't say it better myself.
No.
So let me ask you something.
Yes.
Let me ask you something, Big O. First thing first, what's going on, man? I know it's tough to be a Dolphins fan. Anyways, man, let's talk about it real quick. You know, you said a statement about Donovan Mitchell, you know, wanting to stay in Cleveland, and you know, I do agree with you. I don't think he's coming to Miami, but I do want to say something real quick. The last 2 seasons, they got bounced out in the first round, and this year they were worse than the season before. So I'm not too sure what's going on with that. I don't know what they're gonna do over there. But I just kind of wanted to point that out real quick because
I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the end, if he's happy and he's getting his money, I don't think they care about anything else. And if he's got some good teammates and he's enjoying himself, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm seeing him say that I'm chasing a title and I desperately need to have it and all that. He's not that guy. If you remember him in Utah, dude, he was really happy in Utah. He used to show up at fans' houses and their pool parties and all that kind of stuff. He's a really good dude. And he's not necessarily driven by the greed of winning all the time. So if he's happy and he's getting his money, he might stay there. And so until I see any kind of, problem, I can't, and you haven't heard anything that, this team is hot on them and the conversation. We haven't heard Shams. We haven't heard Woj. We haven't heard anybody say anything that he is flirting with somebody else or anything like that. And so until I start hearing that, I know Miami has no ammo right now to flirt.
At all.
So if Cleveland wants to trade him or whatever, they can move him to wherever the hell he wants. They could get a lot for him if they want to. But in this deal right now, Miami's got to make the Butler deal first before anything else. You know what I mean? What happens if that extension happens before the Butler deal? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So I got a 2-parter because you keep talking about this Jimmy extension and trade and stuff like that, right? So the first question, let me just get it out the way real quick. We lack size and we lack having a legit backup center or anything like that. We've been cursed with Cody Zeller, Dwayne Dedman, Thomas Bryant, Orlando Robinson. It just hasn't really been great for us lately. And so I'm not too sure if you've been looking at the draft prospects, but I throw in the free agents and draft prospects in there for you. The 2 bigs that we've been looking at, that have been thrown at the Miami Heat is Kel'el Ware. I'm sorry if I say his name wrong. And Zach Edey. Those are the 2 bigs that we could possibly get. And these other bigs are just going to go way before that. Are you interested in those bigs? Are you looking at like a free agent big, which isn't the greatest? I'm looking at this list. We got Mason Plumlee, Theis. I don't even think we can afford Jonas. Rashad Holmes. Like, are you looking at a free agent big on a cheap deal? Are we running it back with K-Love at the 5? Like, what do you think we're going to do at that position?
I think if you could get one of those big guys with this development team, I'll take my chances. You know what I'm saying? And, the real question, guys, is will Bam grow up? Will Bam finally be, put on his big boy pants on and say, give me the ball and get the hell out of my way. And because he's Mr. Nice Guy, that's what stops me from calling him a star. And so if you go get that center, okay, that frees him up, that allows him to, but he needs to grow. He needs to take that next step. And let me tell you something. Maybe Damian Lillard gets really sexy about playing here if Bam Adebayo is an offensive force. You know what I mean? Like he can be, by the way. If he wasn't skilled enough, I would say, hey, you guys are idiots. That guy can't do it. Bam can do it. Bam can be an offensive force, but he's not. He's super passive, and he refuses to grow. So you can add these big guys, and we can talk about that. But the future of the Heat really depends on if Bam Adebayo is willing to take that next step. We love him as an all-around player. To me, he's a perfect number 3 on a team. That Bosch role, that we'll give it to you when we need you, but overall be supportive all the time. That third, because the third star never really can carry it because there's only one basketball. So usually the first 2 guys are the ones that are going to be scoring. I see him as a number 3, but once you get rid of Butler, he needs to elevate himself, dude. And I don't know if he ever can because we keep saying it and he never does it. But the skill set is there, and that's what has us intoxicated. So in the end, you can bring Zach, and I love his game, but in the end, you gotta improve with all the other guys, dude. Jaquez and Jovic and Bam.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can.
I agree to the point. So my last question to you is, and we can wrap it up right here. This Jimmy whole thing, right? So I'm actually interested in trading Jimmy, and I'm glad that you said that, right? I want all the picks, and one team that catches my attention is Golden State, and we've been talking about this in our group chat and stuff like this because they can offer picks, they can offer young players, and that's what we could run. Like, this is not a full trade because of salaries and stuff like that, but you probably have to throw Wiggins. I want personally Kuminga if I'm trading Jimmy to Golden State. But you take some capital, you get some more young players, maybe a Moses Moody or Brandon. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Brandon P or something like that. Like, are you looking at a type deal like that? Or are you looking at a deal like the 76ers? Because like you said earlier, we need to reload our capital up for the future. And this is the first time I'm saying this on this. I don't mind keeping Tyler if we're trading Jimmy and just go all young with Spo, Jaime, Jovic. I mean, obviously, if there's an offer there for Tyler, I'm all for it. But like,
might be better off keeping Tyler for a year and hoping he has the year of his career, and then you load him at that point. Because unloading him now, brother, you might have to give up a pick for somebody to take on that salary. So I think it's better to hold on to him, overall, for me. And then you were talking about the Jimmy. Okay, all right. Let's go back to my earlier part of the conversation. Remember, I told you that I don't think this is going to be an ugly breakup or anything. I think they're going to find a way to work this out. Well, the only way right now that you work that out is where does Jimmy want to go?
That's true.
Because you can't, if you start trying to force where you want to take him because it's just the best deal, and then Damian Lillard can't be a dick, but guess who can be a dick, huh? Guess who can be a dick? And so, you gotta. There's going to be a give and take here, dude. There's going to be the deal's going to be basically around the same. You're going to get the same amount of picks, that kind of stuff. But I think it really depends on where Jimmy wants to go. So if Jimmy doesn't want to go to the West Coast and go to Golden State, and he wants to go play with Embiid, his buddy, and a city that loves him, by the way, because they're all pissed off that they gave the wrong guy the contract. They've been pissed off ever since that. So he's going to be welcomed with open arms. The team desperately wants to give him the money. All this. See, notice how there ain't nobody coming out. Oh, Donovan Mitchell. Oh, this team's dying to give him the money and trade, but they're doing it for Jimmy already, right? It's already, the report came out for Philadelphia that they will be willing to trade for either for Paul or for Jimmy, right? That hasn't happened for Mitchell. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? This stuff hasn't happened, but this has developed. And so that's where this thing has to work out. And then for the Heat, they kind of need an amicable breakup because you don't want to have the only star you have attracted over years and then, kind of have an ugly breakup because then other stars are going to say, well, these guys are going to just use you up and then try to get rid of you wherever the hell they want, and they're going to work with you. So I think this thing has to be kind of a two-way thing. Sometimes you know, as fans and media or whatever, we have to learn to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, whether it's the team or the player or whatever, so you can kind of understand. It's kind of what I told you with Donovan Mitchell. Maybe he put off those early attempts because the smart thing to do is, oh wait a minute. Let me take inventory here. Let me see how this whole situation works out, and then if I like it here, then I can sign the contract. You know, so we have to kind of see from both sides at times. And in this case, you're going to have to appease Jimmy Butler to a certain extent.
Hopefully, we can get enough ammo though to reload the clip if we do somehow trade Jimmy Butler this offseason, because we'll close after this. In 2026, though, I'm looking at the free agent list right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unrestricted free agents: Tatum, Kyrie, Luka, Fred VanVleet, Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox. Not sure if all of those players are going to stay, because also we could trade for them. Because right now it's not about purely free agency and salary cap. It's about players getting traded a year before they're unrestricted free agents, right? So perhaps we make the trade this offseason. We get all these assets. We let Tyler, Jovic, Jaime, Bam grow together. Hopefully not make the playoffs, right? Get another decent draft pick and wait till 2025, the year before all of these guys are going to be unrestricted free agents, and possibly get a huge whale that way. So who knows?
And listen, you guys have said it yourselves, right? You're already there's buzz from Golden State and there's buzz from Philadelphia for Jimmy, right? Well, then where's the buzz for Donovan? You see what I'm saying? So that's where we kind of have to look at this whole situation, that this is good for the Heat. There's people that actually want Jimmy Butler. You got a shot to get out of a really bad contract that is really, at this point, not going to pay off for you. And you need to start pivoting into another direction. The beauty is that if you're able to trade him and get draft capital, you already have a youth foundation with it. That's kind of sets you up, instead of going the other way where you're trying to hang on to an old star and trying to trade for another one. And like Riley said in the press conference, he kind of told you, well, then I got to trade my entire bench and then I've got nothing to surround people. And then he goes back to thinking what was 2010 with the big three, that he didn't have people around him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a catch-22. But the beauty is there are options for Jimmy already developing with two teams. Miami has to take advantage of it, man. And Heat fans, please, man, learn to have patience. You know, maybe you don't trade for a star this year, but it's more of a developmental year over the next year or two. They've given you all kinds of winning for 25 years. If you've got to take a step back for a developmental year or two, I can accept that, dude, because this is one of the great franchises that will eventually get back on track to a championship level. This isn't a flash in the pan type of franchise that has their one moment and then they disappear for 30 years and you don't hear from them again. They know what the hell they're doing. So maybe taking a step back or two for a year or two might be the best thing to take several steps forward, you know, overall, because next year it might be good to give these young guys a shit ton of playing time so they can really develop and go through the ringer of everything.
And I mean, Bam, Tyler, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson. I mean, that's a good team right there. I don't see why you look at a depleted Eastern Conference with players like that and don't think they can do something.
Hell yeah. And you got a first round pick, Jovic, Jaquez.
Ah,
And you have the best coach in the NBA. So, and you'll, I hate to say this, but you'll clean up the culture, because it was funny how Jimmy fit the culture and now he doesn't fit the culture, because he fits it to a certain extent, but he's not willing to go all the way. And I've been part of this organization for 30 years, walking into that building and knowing all these people and all that stuff. I'm 34 years in this business. Those people work their asses off. The Heat organization, top to bottom, is elite. It doesn't matter what department you're talking about. And the most important person in the whole organization is not going to give 100%. That's right. Riley must be like, at night, he must be like Hannibal Lecter, just, you know, peeling into his liver, taking it out and just like eating his own liver. And that's how pissed off he must be at this point, because that guy doesn't believe in that. He believes in balls out, hard work all the time. And to have your superstar hanging out in a tennis tournament and the next day call in sick, or the third game of the season, that brother, that just doesn't fly. And it doesn't set an example for everybody else. You got to get back to playing hard and being, by the way, you guess who's the hardest working, most conditioned, best whatever team? It's the Florida Panthers now. It's not the Miami Heat anymore in their own town. They are now the number 2 franchise in town because the Florida Panthers over the last 2 years have become the best franchise, the best run franchise. That's the title they've had for 25 years. That's how much slippage there's been here for the Heat. They were smoking everybody. And now the Panthers, and why are they winning? Because the Panthers have like real stars all over the place. They're not carried by one broken down star that can play 40% of the season. Because he doesn't play 60. That other 20, he kind of hangs out playing around. Don't kid yourself, okay? So, this has got to end. You've got to get back to the culture of working hard. And unfortunately, Jimmy just doesn't fit it anymore because his body doesn't allow it. It's not that he wants to be lazy or anything like that. He's smart, dude. He's pacing himself. His body's breaking down. He can't give you 70 games. If he does, there's no way he's available for the postseason, and he knows it. So he has to pace himself because he's got all those Tom Thibodeau minutes in his body from playing and practicing for Tom Thibodeau, because that's probably the ones that really took a toll on him, those Tom Thibodeau practices for many, many years. So, it's time. Unfortunately, it's been an awesome run with Jimmy, but it's time to move on. You've got to turn the page, as Bob Seger would say.
Well, thank you so much, Big O. Please plug yourself, plug all your, like all your shows and all the stuff that you got going on.
Just one show, Big O Radio Show. You can follow us on YouTube, the Big O Radio Show. Please subscribe. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all that good stuff. We're live every day on YouTube at 10 a.m. Thursdays we're at 3 p.m. because we're at a casino. But we're live every day, or not, you can catch us anytime. And we're constantly breaking all kinds of Dolphin news before everybody else, too, on top of all of that. So appreciate you all out there, as always. And we're talking South Florida sports for 34 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Big O.
Thank you, my guy.
Thanks, Big O. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.